Close your eyes for just a moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine you are standing on the edge of the world, looking up at a sky completely free of city lights. Millions of stars twinkle above you, silent, ancient, and eternal. But what if the space between those stars is not empty? What if the darkness itself is listening? Today, we are going to explore a mystery that has baffled the greatest minds on Earth, a paradox that seems impossible. We attempted to measure a void so deep, so absolute, that it should have contained nothing. Instead, something answered back. We call it the forbidden measurement. By the end of this journey, you will feel the profound peace that comes from understanding our tiny, yet deeply connected place in this grand cosmic web. Let the weight of the day fade away. We are going to the edge of the unknown. To understand the sheer magnitude of this event, we must first understand how we listen to the universe. For decades, humanity has built gigantic, metallic ears, massive radio telescopes spread across deserts and mountains. They point towards the heavens, collecting invisible waves. Light that is too old for our eyes to see, frequencies that carry the echoes of the Big Bang itself. We map galaxies, we track dying stars, and we listen to the rhythmic pulse of pulsars. But between these celestial fireworks, there are vast oceans of emptiness, the voids. The most famous is the Bootes void, a spherical region of space nearly 330 million light-years in diameter. It is so terrifyingly empty that if our Milky Way were placed in its center, we would not have known other galaxies existed until the 1960s. Scientists believed these voids were just dead space, true nothingness, an absolute zero of activity. But a new experiment sought to measure the precise quantum temperature of this emptiness. They wanted to prove, once and for all, that the void was silent. Let us step into the very beginning of this cosmic experiment, the concept of the void. We often think of space as a vacuum, a place where nothing exists. We imagine it like an empty room, swept entirely clean of dust. But this is a myth we must leave behind. Space is never truly empty. Even in the deepest, darkest pockets of the universe, there is a simmering sea of quantum energy. Virtual particles pop in and out of existence in fractions of a second. Imagine a perfectly calm ocean at midnight. The surface appears flat, like black glass. But beneath the surface, unseen currents move. Tiny bubbles rise and pop. This is the quantum foam. The experiment was designed to measure these microscopic ripples in the deepest part of the Bootes void, a place where the ocean of space was thought to be most still. The preparation required extreme precision. The instruments used were cooled to temperatures colder than deep space itself. We had to eliminate all local noise. Every vibration from our planet, every whisper of our sun had to be filtered out. Imagine trying to hear a single snowflake hitting the ground while standing next to a roaring waterfall. That was the challenge. The scientists were aiming their instruments at a patch of sky so dark it defied comprehension. They were not looking for light. They were looking for the baseline of reality, the absolute floor of the universe. This was the forbidden measurement. Forbidden not by law, but by the sheer arrogance of trying to pin down the infinite. As the telescopes locked onto their target, a profound silence fell over the control room. The data began to stream in, but this data was not visual, it was numerical. Long strings of zeros representing the vast, cold emptiness of the void. Imagine reading a book where millions of pages are entirely blank, just white paper, going on forever. The machines hummed, tracing the flat line of nothingness. This was expected. It was comforting. The universe was behaving exactly as our equations predicted. The myth that we can master the cosmos seemed, for a brief moment, to be entirely true. But nature has a way of surprising us. In quantum mechanics, there is a concept called the observer effect. The very act of watching something changes how it behaves. Usually, this only applies to the microscopic world. Tiny atoms changing their spin when we measure them. Imagine watching a shy animal in a forest. The moment you shine a light on it, it freezes or runs away. Your observation changed its reality. But could this rule apply on a cosmic scale? Could looking into the abyss cause the abyss to change? The scientists were about to find out. Hours turned into days. The telescopes remained fixed on the void. The flat line of data continued. And then, a tiny anomaly appeared, a spike in the data. It was so small it was almost dismissed as a glitch, a stray cosmic ray perhaps, or a fault in the wiring. Imagine you are driving on an endlessly straight, flat road in the desert, and suddenly you feel a tiny bump. You might think it was just a pebble. You ignore it and drive on. The scientists recalibrated their machines. They ran the diagnostic tests. Everything was working perfectly. They resumed the measurement. The telescopes stared deeper, the focus tightened, and then the bump happened again. This time it was slightly larger. It was not a random error, it was a signal. But it was impossible. The area they were observing was mathematically proven to be empty of any star, any gas cloud, any black hole. There was nothing there to generate a signal. We often believe the myth that empty space cannot transmit information without a source. Yet, here was a ripple coming from the absolute zero. It was like dropping a stone into our perfectly still, dark well. But the stone had not been dropped by us. The ripple came from the bottom up. The scientists leaned closer to their screens. The rhythm of the signal was incredibly slow. It did not sound like the chaotic static of a dying star. It did not have the rapid, aggressive pulse of a quasar. It was a long, slow wave. Imagine a giant taking a breath that lasts for thousands of years. We were seeing a tiny fragment of that exhalation. The sheer scale of the wave meant that whatever was causing it was massive, unthinkably large, and it was located exactly where nothing was supposed to be. Panic and awe began to mix in the observatory. What were they seeing? Some theorized it was a dark matter structure. Dark matter is the invisible scaffolding of the universe. It holds galaxies together but emits no light. Imagine an invisible skeleton holding up a massive glowing city. We can see the city, but we can only guess the shape of the bones. Perhaps their highly sensitive measurement had somehow struck one of these invisible bones, causing it to vibrate. The measurement itself was the hammer. But the data showed something even stranger. The signal was responding to the intensity of their observation. When they increased the sensitivity of the receivers, the signal changed. It grew sharper, more defined. The observer effect was happening on a scale of millions of light years. This shatters a common myth. We like to think we are separate from the universe. We think we are just spectators in a grand theater, watching the play from a dark balcony. But this measurement proved we are on the stage. Our gaze is a physical force. To understand this, imagine you are holding a taut string. Your friend is holding the other end across the room. If you pluck the string, your friend feels it instantly. Now imagine that string stretches across the void of space. The moment we tried to measure the quietest place in the universe, we plucked the string of the cosmic web. The void was not empty. It was woven tight with unseen threads of gravity and quantum entanglement. The signal we received was the vibration of our own pluck, returning to us from the dark. This phenomenon challenges the very fabric of how we perceive time and distance. The signal originated from an area hundreds of millions of light years away. If something had just happened there, the light and radio waves should have taken hundreds of millions of years to reach us. Yet, the response seemed immediate. It danced in perfect synchronization with our machines. Imagine shouting into a canyon, and the echo comes back to you before you even finish the word. It is a concept that breaks the mind, yet brings a strange sense of unity. The universe was showing us its underlying architecture. The measurement was forbidden because our classical physics says information cannot travel faster than light, but in the strange, fluid world of quantum mechanics, distance is an illusion. Two particles can be entangled across the entire span of the cosmos, acting as one. The scientists were not just measuring a distant void, they were measuring a part of the universe that was directly entangled with our own solar system. We are physically connected to the dark. As the hours passed, The signal began to form a pattern. It was a fractal, a mathematical shape that repeats itself infinitely on smaller and smaller scales. Think of a snowflake. If you zoom in on one branch, you see miniature versions of the whole snowflake. The void was not chaotic. It was ordered. It was beautiful. The myth of an indifferent, chaotic universe began to dissolve. The static was a symphony. The emptiness was a canvas painted with invisible, perfect geometry. The feeling in the control room shifted from panic to a profound, reverent silence. No one spoke. The glowing numbers on the screens were no longer just data. They were poetry. They were watching the heartbeat of the cosmos. Imagine standing in an ancient cathedral, entirely alone, and suddenly the massive pipe organ begins to play softly by itself. You do not feel fear. You feel a deep, comforting awe. You realize you are in the presence of something vastly older and wiser than yourself. This response from the unknown forces us to ask a beautiful question. What is the nature of consciousness? We usually restrict consciousness to biological brains. We think of neurons firing in our heads. But what if the complex, fractal patterns we saw in the void are a form of cosmic thought? Imagine the universe as a single giant neural network. Galaxies are the neurons, dark matter forms the pathways, and our forbidden measurement was just a tiny electrical impulse sent into the mind of the cosmos. The signal eventually began to fade. As gently as it had arrived, the wave flattened out. The ocean of space returned to its calm, dark glass. The machines went back to humming their monotonous zeros. But everything had changed. The scientists knew that the void was not dead. It was sleeping, or perhaps it was waiting. This breaks the lonely myth that humanity is completely alone in a dead cosmos. We are surrounded by a living, breathing architecture. The data from that night is still being analyzed. Supercomputers are crunching the fractal patterns, trying to find meaning in the geometry. Some say it is just a rare physical anomaly, a quirk of gravity and quantum fields. But others, who were there that night, feel differently. They felt a sense of acknowledgement. Imagine walking through a dense, silent forest, and a single glowing firefly lands on your hand for just a second before flying away. It was a fleeting touch from the infinite. Let this thought settle into your mind as you relax. You are not a stranger in this universe. You are made of the exact same star stuff that creates those massive voids. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, were forged in the hearts of dying stars. When we reach out to measure the cosmos reaches back because we are one and the same. We are the universe, experiencing itself. We are the observers, and we are the observed. Think about your daily worries, the stress of your job, the noise of the city, the endless rush of modern life. They seem so large, so heavy. But let us zoom out. Imagine rising above your house, above your city, above the clouds. See the Earth as a beautiful blue marble floating in the dark. Now keep going, past the moon, past Mars, out into the vast, silent sea of stars. Compared to the cosmic web, our earthly troubles are microscopic. They dissolve into the peaceful silence of the void. The forbidden measurement is a reminder of our glorious insignificance. And, paradoxically, that insignificance is deeply empowering. You don't have to carry the weight of the world. The universe is unimaginably vast, ancient, and intricate. It has been unfolding perfectly for 14 billion years, and it will continue to do so. Imagine floating in a warm, gentle current, letting the water carry you without any effort. You can surrender to the flow of the cosmos. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, remember the Boötes void. Remember that even in the darkest, most empty places, there is hidden structure. There is invisible connection. There is a silent symphony playing across millions of light years. The emptiness is not a void to be feared. It is a canvas of pure potential, a place where anything can be born. Imagine a blank page, not as a block, but as an invitation. The dark sky is the universe's blank page. We often fear the dark. It is a primal instinct. We fear what we cannot see. We create myths of monsters hiding in the shadows of space. But the forbidden measurement showed us that the dark is not hostile. It is responsive. It is deeply ordered. When we looked into the deepest dark, it did not bare its teeth. It showed us a delicate, perfect fractal. Imagine walking into a dark cave, expecting danger, but instead finding walls covered in sparkling, beautiful crystals. The scientific community remains divided on the true meaning of the signal. But the beauty of space is that it leaves room for mystery. We do not need to know all the answers to appreciate the wonder. In fact, a universe completely mapped and understood would be a dull place. Imagine a magic trick where you know exactly how it is done. It loses its charm. The universe keeps its secrets, leaving us in a permanent state of childlike awe. The forbidden measurement is just one more beautiful secret. Let the rhythm of this cosmic dance soothe you. The slow breathing of the universe, the silent pulse of distant energy. Every atom in your body is resonating with that same frequency. You are anchored to the Earth by gravity, but you are connected to the stars by quantum threads. You are a bridge between the microscopic world and the galactic void. Imagine yourself as a glowing string of light, stretching from the ground beneath you to the farthest edges of the sky. As you let go of your thoughts, picture the radio telescopes again. Massive white dishes pointing up into the night sky. They are silent sentinels, listening for whispers in the dark. They are our mechanical extensions of curiosity. Through them, humanity reaches out its hand into the cold, looking for warmth. And occasionally, as we learned, the universe reaches back. Imagine a gentle breeze brushing against your face in the dark. A silent confirmation that you are not alone. The myth of human isolation is the greatest illusion we face. We build walls, borders, and divisions. But from the perspective of the cosmos, we are a single, fragile ecosystem riding on a speck of dust. The signal from the void transcends all our boundaries. It speaks a language older than words, the language of mathematics, of frequency, of vibration. Imagine hearing a piece of music so beautiful that you instantly understand its emotion, without knowing a single word of its lyrics. This is the true gift of astronomy. It is not just about gathering data or building faster rockets. It is about perspective. It is a spiritual exercise disguised as science. When we look up, we are forced to be humble. We are forced to be quiet. The universe demands silence from its observers. Imagine entering a grand library, vast and ancient. You instinctively lower your voice. The sky is our ultimate library. The stars are the books we are just beginning to read. The forbidden measurement will go down in history as a turning point. The night we stopped just looking at the universe and realized it might be looking at us. Not with eyes, but with the fundamental forces of reality, a mutual recognition. Imagine looking into a mirror, and for a split second, the reflection smiles before you do. A playful wink from the fabric of space-time. The cosmos is not a cold machine. It is a dynamic, dancing web of energy. Allow this deep sense of peace to wash over you. The vastness of space is not a gulf that separates us. It is the very medium that connects us. Just as water connects every island in the ocean, the quantum field connects every star, every planet, every living being. You are held safely within this cosmic embrace. Imagine sinking into a soft, deep bed, feeling entirely supported, entirely secure. The gravity of the Earth holds you, and the mystery of the stars watches over you. The void has returned to silence. The data has been stored away. But the echo of that forbidden measurement remains in our minds. It changed how we see the dark. It is an invitation to keep wondering, to keep exploring, but to do so with deep respect. As we drift towards sleep, or simply enjoy a moment of profound relaxation, let the beautiful mysteries of the universe fill your mind. There is no need to figure it all out. Simply close your eyes and let the cosmic symphony play on. We have traveled to the very edge of human understanding, staring into a void so deep it broke the laws of physics, only to find a perfect, harmonious response. The forbidden measurement reminds us that the universe is far stranger, more connected, and more beautifully complex than we could ever imagine. We are not isolated observers, we are active participants in a grand cosmic symphony. As the echoes of the unknown fade back into the silent expanse, let the vastness of space bring you peace, shrinking your earthly worries into stardust. Thank you for embarking on this journey into the dark with us. If you felt the stillness of the void today, tell us in the comments, do you think the universe is aware of us? Don't forget to subscribe, and may your nights be as calm and majestic as the infinite sky.